Better in time. Leona Lewis on Magic, 8:36. Man, already the 20th of October, things just whizzing by here. And, wish the morning would maybe my coffee, maybe if I take another drink on it here, things will start rolling better. I know it's going to be easier now because we're going to chat with Mike Barrett from Barrett Insurance Agency, Portland Street in St. Johnsbury. Of course, they're practicing safe CDC guidelines as they conduct business for all of your insurance needs. Mike, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Got to get this coffee rolling here. I don't know if it's just because it's a dark, dreary, dismal day that you ever feel like you got to, hey, somebody give me a push to get going?
Yeah, well, that's why I usually, I do a IV drip of my Java on those days, so it just keeps coming in.
Oh, I'd do it too. Thing is I'd end up with a burn. But anyways, so let's talk insurance, okay?
Yes, sir.
We've been talking about the importance of keeping email contacts and telephone numbers and all of that stuff, addresses up to date, and how that's important for your billing and other notifications here. Where would you like to start today?
So one thing that I don't think we've ever talked about, and I think it's worthy of a discussion, just on a top-level discussion, just to hopefully defer any potential confusion that could exist out there in terms of how some insurance companies, or actually almost all insurance companies, handle things. And let me back up a little bit. So what prompted me to think about this was talking to some folks over the past couple of weeks. I've found that maybe they have Progressive insurance, but they didn't know they could get it through an agency. They thought they had to go direct to Progressive to get it, which is certainly an option. It's not a problem there. Totally fine. But there are certainly agencies, including us, that offer Progressive insurance. And in having that conversation, they were surprised. They said, well, in giving the details, I thought to myself, man, this would be a good conversation for good policies. And so let's get into it real quickly, what the conversation was about. We talked about how these companies have different writing companies. So there's the main company, and then with them, they all have writing companies. What the heck is a writing company? Well, a writing company is where insurance is placed, the actual company that writes the policy. And a lot of these carriers have different writing companies. And I'll give you the example. With Progressive, we'll start. Progressive, if you are insured with them, they have Progressive Advanced Insurance Company, Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, which is very common, Progressive Direct Insurance Company, which is one that you would get if you go direct online, Progressive Northern Insurance Company, which if you're insured with us in Vermont, New Hampshire, and New England, that's highly likely you'll be for your home, for your auto, motorcycle, ATV, things like that. Then they've got Progressive Specialty Insurance Company. And then if you have a commercial policy with Progressive, you're probably with the United Financial Casualty Company. Those are all Progressive on all the documentation. But you may from time to time see one of those different companies listed on there. Don't be confused. Don't be concerned. That's the way it's supposed to be. Another great national example would be the Hartford. The Hartford has Hartford Accident and Indemnity, Hartford Casualty Insurance Company, Hartford Fire Insurance Company, Hartford Insurance Company of the Midwest, Hartford Insurance Company of Illinois, Hartford Insurance Company of the Midwest again. I mean, it just goes on and on. They probably have the most. The ones that we see the most of up here with the Hartford would be with Sentinel Insurance Company. So like on an ID card, somebody may see that and go, well, wait a minute, I thought I was insured with the Hartford. Well, you are. That's a writing company with the Hartford. That is indeed the Hartford. But don't think for one moment that it's just those big companies that do that. Some of the local, regional companies do that too. Concord Insurance Group. They have Concord General Mutual Insurance. They have Green Mountain Insurance, State Mutual, Sunapee, and Vermont Accident Insurance Company. Another regional company, but not so much here. They're not as big as the folks like Progressive or the Hartford, but a company like Ohio Mutual. They have Casco Indemnity, Ohio Mutual, and United Ohio. So I thought, Jeff, that would just be a really good thing just to kind of throw your way and say, look, here is why you may see some different names on what you thought was insured with somebody else. It's still insured with them. It's just with a writing company, and that's how they do business.
Well, I'm sitting here. I feel like the pinball in a pinball machine as you were rattling off. Let's just use Hartford for a moment there. You also mentioned, too, that someone may get their insurance ID card that may have a different name on them. To be like, whoa. All of that put together, the only thing that I can think of is this comes right down to the very important thing, and we mention this before we wrap up every week, it's important to have somebody to talk to
Yes.
to have all of this make sense. So that's the importance of, it's a world of convenience. Everybody just wants to go to whatever.com and click and do all of that, and it's overdone with. But then the questions come up, incidents like you just referenced. So if you talk with somebody face to face or over the phone, it's so much easier to make heads and tails of all of this.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's interesting because the Sentinel Insurance Company with the Hartford is probably one I come across the most, because if there is an auto accident and ID cards are exchanged, people will say, "I don't know who the heck the Sentinel is," but that's and I'll say, "Oh, that's the Hartford." So it is. And we keep tabs on all of this. We're well versed in all of these writing companies and exactly why they exist and how they exist. You're still with Progressive. You're still with Conquer Group. It's not like you're with another carrier. It's just these are, if you want to think of it this way, they could be considered almost subsidiaries of that. But that's probably not the most appropriate way to wrap it, that up. But they are the company. It's just they have different ways of doing that. One company in particular, Cooperative Insurance, another regional company, they're based out of Vermont. They actually went the other way, and they decided, okay, well, we've had these multiple writing companies for all of our existence. We're to change it and just go to one. So they did. So there's really just one company for them right now. Again, it's still all the same, but they just consolidated because it made more sense, because they were a smaller company. They didn't need a million writing companies to go with.
Well, everything takes a team, right? And that allows an individual, shall we say, department to be more specialized in A and the other in B, and so on and such forth, right?
Yeah. And regardless of what writing company you're insured with, you call the same phone number, you talk to the same people. It's all identical. It's just what's on paper and what you're seeing there. So there's really no major difference. But and the other interesting thought about this, Jeff, that I wanted to hit on is that with Progressive Direct, you can go online to Progressive and you can purchase a policy, and that's completely fine. You can go with AARP, the Hartford, for insurance as well, because they have a great group plan with AARP. You can get a group plan discount with a Hartford. But interestingly enough, those are companies that are different than who we represent. So if you like Progressive and you quoted Progressive Direct and you got a quote with us, you're going to get a different rate because they're different companies. So they're filing different rates. They're not always going to match up. We could be cheaper. They could be cheaper. It's always going to be a bit of a toss-up. So it's really good just to do your due diligence. And the coolest part about it is you can always call us and ask all kinds of questions.
And we always encourage folks to do that, to have the conversation. Tell them how they can call you.
Yes, you give us a call, 748-5224. You can visit us right on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury, online for a free home or auto quote at thebarrettagency.com, and we don't get into all the details of the writing companies there, so you'll just get a quote. You can also find us on our Facebook page, Barrett Insurance, Google, and YouTube is all Barrett Insurance as well.
And open for face-to-face following CDC guidelines.
Yes, and people really like that because they see less of my face, because I wear a mask, so it's much more comfortable for them. They don't have to see my full ugly mug. So it's been a much more pleasant experience from what I've been understanding. So.
Oh, goodness gracious. So folks like you and I with a face for radio, this is good timing, right?
This is our time to shine, Jeff. Our time to shine.
All right, good policies with Barrett Insurance. Mike, stay safe and healthy. We'll chat next week, okay?
Same to you, sir. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you much. Barrett Insurance Agency, Portland Street, St. Johnsbury. Music from Anime.